Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. This is day two of the NeuroNovember Convention, and I have the pleasure of introducing one of my colleagues, Kimia. Kimia is a junior researcher in neuropsychology and cognitive neuroscience, with a focus on cognitive aging and neurodegenerative disorders. She's currently pursuing her master's degree in clinical, social, and intercultural psychology. Sounds like a very cool program at the University of Padua, and where she's exploring how aging affects cognitive function and also how lifestyle interventions can promote healthy aging. Kimi has also been working as the research responsible for the European Federation of Psychology Students Association's research program. So would recommend checking that out as well, EFPSA. And she has recently been taking charge of launching a new show over at the Neurosciences podcast called Simply Aging. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. And without further ado, I will pass it over to you, Kimia.
Thank you so much for the introduction. I'm so happy to be here. And first of all, I wanted to make a special thank you to you because, this is a topic that might not be my field of expertise and research interest, but I do have personal concerns regarding this topic of challenges and burdens or obstacles that immigrant researchers, neuroscientists in particular, might come up with. So I'm really happy to have a ground to talk about it. I'm sure that later on, aside from people who are present right now, many people would also watch the recording. And actually, I like the fact that we are not that many people, so we can make this discussion more interactive. I wouldn't call it a workshop because as I said, I'm not an expert in this field. This is some I want you to look this presentation as some sort of discussion and a concern that we will carry with ourselves to our teams and to our research communities, not some sort of workshop that I'm an expert and I want to share my wisdom with other people in this room. It's not like that. Today we are going to talk about fostering inclusive and culturally diverse research communities, as you have already saw in the schedules. And first of all, before diving into the topic, I wanted to introduce myself. Of course, you already know a bit about me, but I should note that I'm from Iran. I'm 26, and the other informations are shared already, so I wouldn't want to take your time. And it has been almost more than 2 years that I left Iran to pursue my higher education, pursue my master's studies. And yeah, our program sounds really interesting, but as I said, this topic is my special concern. And part of this concern is because I expected more of a international environment, let's say, in our program, which is clinical, social, and intercultural psychology. But still, it's quite interesting. It provided me this opportunity to meet lots of amazing people, and um, and this is something that I'm really grateful about. But still, I think that not only in my course, like in any multicultural or international environment, there is still room for improvements. And I would like to be a very tiny member of the research community that can make that happen. I try my best to do this as some sort of contribution. So since we're not so many people, I was wondering if it's possible for us to have for people to open their mic and introduce themselves, or maybe write in the chat if you like so, and if the host agrees, we can do this. Otherwise, we can skip it if you don't feel like it, feel like to opening up and speaking. Uh, Chinmay, can you hear me? Maybe. Okay, so I don't know what's happening here, honestly, because I don't have access to the Zoom anymore. So I would have liked to hear from you, but I think it would be better if we skip this part. Maybe we can like at the end of the discussion because I need the help of the host here, and I don't know if she can hear me. But anyhow, we can proceed to the next part, and then at the end of the presentation, we will probably have some time to discuss about this. So today we're going to talk about our session today is going to have three main parts. The first part is about the role of cultural diversity in neuroscience innovation. And then we will discuss and investigate about the possible challenges faced by immigrant neuroscientists. And then we will have a short section on building inclusive and innovative research communities. The third part is the part that I need your help as well, because I'm hoping that we can make it more interactive. And again, I would try to see if Chinmay, can you hear me?
I can, yes. What's up?
Oh yeah, yeah, okay. I was wondering if it's okay if like people who are present in this room can like open the mic and first introduce themselves because I don't want to be like the speaker here. But
Yeah,
I
of course.
was wondering if that's possible.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
then,
go ahead.
yeah, please.
I mean, the permissions are set, so
Okay, okay, great.
yeah.
Great. And then, each person, if you are interested, you can say your opinion about how can cultural diversity impact research communities. Maybe you are from, like myself, you're an immigrant as well, and you would like to share your own experience, or maybe you just want to say some words that would associate in your mind when you hear this question that like what are the keywords that comes to your mind? Why do you think like cultural diversity is an important topic to cover within research communities? Um, okay, I see.
Right. So
Amelia?
it's pronounced as Amila.
Okay,
So I'm
thank you.
from Kazakhstan. I'm still a high schooler, but so obviously I don't have firsthand experience to answer this question. But um, I'm guessing cultural diversity is important in research communities just because these researchers have a different background and they might know more intricate details about um, certain problems. So it's not just that researchers look at a problem from one economic, like socioeconomic group, and like having a person from a vastly different culture would give another perspective and would yield better results from research.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Thank you so much for your opinion. This is exactly the one of the main points that we're going to cover, that each person can from a different culture can bring his or her own perspectives into the team or community that they're a part of. And this is really interesting because it's not only the cultural or social aspects that makes us a different, makes us have a different perspective. It's because we will see it later, but also culture forms how our brain functions, and this is amazing. Um, let's hear from. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with pronouncing
Yeah,
names.
hi, it's
Yeah,
fine. So
yeah,
I'll
please.
just pronounce my name. So myself, Ishpreet Singh. Right now,
Yeah,
I'm doing my master's thesis at Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru. So my field is learning and memory, and uh, yeah, that's it about me. And about the question, yeah, so I had a similar answer to Amelia, but since she had already answered, I would like to paraphrase some of it. So I was mainly thinking that people trained in different countries during their UGs and all, like most of the cultural diversities, I think, are obtained at PhD levels. So at that point, if you are being exposed to people from different countries, they'll have their own set of methodologies regarding doing some stuff and all. So you can interchange that and see which one is better. If one method isn't working, you can try a simplistic method and all. Yeah,
yeah.
that's it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, it is still an important point to mention, and we will see like how it will change our cognitive functions even. And so, yeah, if there are more people who would like to share their opinions, I would be more than happy to hear. Or some people who might want to simply introduce themselves. It's okay too. We skipped this part only because I didn't know like how to manage the um, Zoom room. Okay, I think um, I think we can proceed. And thank you guys for sharing your opinion. Um, as you could see in the agenda of today, the first part is going to be the role of cultural diversity in neuroscience innovation. And and now we will see this part itself has like two main sections. First, we will see how culture impacts cognitive processes. And then we will see how what implication it has for research communities. Um, so first, this is my favorite part of the presentation, to be honest, because as you can tell, I'm really interested in neuroscience and cognitive neuroscience in particular. So I wanted to like make this presentation more, neuroscience-ish. So this is my favorite part, and the other parts are probably need more expertise in the field and are more challenging. And so this is a part that I can talk a bit more about. Um, so the first the first domain that culture would impact in our within our cognitive processes is thinking and problem solving skills. In another way, culture shapes our cognitive style, how we think, how we face problems. And it is interesting to know that Western cultures, such as Europe or United States, um, they opt the more analytical way of thinking. What does it mean? It means that they tend to, I'm not saying that like it is like 100% and like all people within the Western culture are like this. You have to be really cautious about it as you study the literature related to this studies. You will see that they're also super cautious about it because like it's not a zero sum some information that you can simply infer something from. So, but we know that in Western cultures, people tend to think more in an analytical way, and this means that they are more focused on objects when it comes to reasoning, and they tend to put things into categories when it comes to like dealing with a problem. And they prefer the logical analysis. It means that, okay, I have this piece of information, and then I have this, and then this is the result. Okay, in the parentheses, I should note that unfortunately, I caught cold, so my voice is a bit, if I cough sometimes, that's not a part of the presentation. And another thing interesting about Western culture is that neuroimaging studies showed that when they face some sort of problem, they tend to show some activities in prefrontal cortex, which is this part of the brain. And it is really interesting. Like when we say culture, we might the first thing that comes to our mind is that, okay, it's a set of beliefs, norms, values, maybe religious stuff related to one's country and blah blah blah. But as you can see, it's not only about that. As I said before, it's not only about social aspects of your personality. It's also somehow changed how your brain works. It can impact neuroplasticity, neural connections in your mind and in your brain. And that is amazing. And in contrast, the same study realized that Eastern cultures tend to have more holistic thinking. What does it mean? It means that if there is a jungle, a picture of a jungle, they would focus more on the background, on the jungle as a whole. Or if there are some people in a group, they would value the things related to that group, not to each individual member of that group. And so it means that they see objects in relation to their context and environment. And again, what is different about people coming from Eastern cultures is that they have more increased activity in medial prefrontal cortex, which is a part that is related to holistic way of thinking, in contrast to analytical way of thinking. Another two very interesting cognitive domains that I would like to talk about are attention and executive function. So first I will talk about executive function because I think it has a very important role when it comes to working in a team. So given that individualistic cultures, again, we can say it that it's somehow equal to in Western cultures such as Europe and United States. When it comes to these communities, we can see that they emphasize independence and they are more relied on self-regulation when it comes to problem solving. And regarding their collectivist cultures, equal to Eastern cultures, we can see that they prefer social harmony over individual independence. And there are more, they put more emphasis on collaboration when it comes to solving a problem. And regarding the attention, again, we can see difference. And this is somehow related to the previous slide. As we said, like Western cultures are more analytic and Eastern cultures are more holistic. Again, here we can see that their attention is also like more central. But in collectivist cultures, the attention is more peripheral because they care a great deal of attention to the context and the environments that the group is based in. Also, another very important point that I wanted to share is that um, we can generalize this point to working in a team. I will come back to that later. We can see that the studies have shown that multilingual individuals um, often exhibit enhanced cognitive flexibility and inhibition due to demands of switching between language. So what does this mean? Means that since the person is exposed to more than one language ever since he or she was a kid, and this means that probably they were exposed to one or two or more cultural environments, so they're more flexible when it comes to problem solving, and they have more inhibitory control when it comes to problem solving or performing in a group, meaning that like they are more able to control themselves when it comes to conflict. They would probably more patient, and when there are like different members from different or various cultural backgrounds, they tend to be more flexible and open towards this new team member. And this is amazing. We can somehow, as I said, generalize this fact. We said that a person who is multilingual, who knows two or more languages at the same time, is more flexible. So what if a group has the same feature? What if a group already knows how to deal with different cultures and has knowledge of different cultural backgrounds? So this means that this group can function more flexibly when it comes to some challenges or some problems that they face. And this is really valuable. I want to stop here and add some information, not information, like add some points. And this is whenever I talk about like being an immigrant, one thing that bothers me is that yeah, immigration and international students might bring some problems with themselves. And this is like, for example, we don't know how to deal with them because, like, especially in Europe, many of them only speak English, and the local language might be something else. And this is a problem. Or like for example, they bring their own cultures into the academic atmosphere. And this is a problem because we don't know how to deal with that. This is the word problem is something that really bothers me because, yeah, it is true that we are somehow making more challenge, but it's not a problem. It's a challenge. When you say that something is a problem, it means that okay, there's an obstacle and I have to like somehow crash it or like turn over, or it has this negative implication. But the thing that an international student or an immigrant bring to its host country is not a problem, it's a challenge. And challenge has this positive weight, that when you say something is a challenge, it means that okay, it is somehow tricky to deal with, and my knowledge, my current knowledge might not be sufficient enough, but I have to rise myself and my skills and my frame of mind to that challenge. I have to rise myself up to that challenge. And this means improvement, not only for the person who is immigrant or is an international student, but also for that community that is hosting that person, because they're facing some challenges that is beneficial for them if they rise up to that challenge, if they improve their skills um, in that certain problem or challenge, it is more beneficial for them. So this is something that I would like to mention. The second part in this section is the implications of culturally diverse research communities. So here again, we have three, I would say, short parts. First, we will see diverse perspectives that drive innovation. And then we will discuss about how culturally diverse team would face cognitive conflicts, and what is the role of a leader in such a international community. But before proceeding to that part, since it has been a long time that I'm talking, I wanted to know if there are like any questions, any insights, anything you would like to share. We can make a short pause of 1 minute maybe. And if like there are some questions in between, we can, yeah, please.
So I've read that there are some differences in people perceiving time in cultures that have winters and cultures that don't have winters. So I was wondering if there's a difference, not only like east, west, but north, south.
Yeah. Honestly, as I said in the beginning of the presentation, I'm not an expert in this field, but as far as I know, not only culture, but geography, it's a hard word to pronounce, also has a role to play in this, because the way the environment that the person is located in is quite crucial. For example, like back in Iran, our calendar is quite different from Gregorian calendar, which is used almost everywhere, I would say. But like this kind of creates a different perception of seasons for us. And this is really amazing that not only culture, but all the other environmental components of that um, country that or region that the person belongs to can shape our perception and uh, how we see the world and our connections, social connections, especially at work and in an academic environment. It can really play a role. I can say this based on my own experience, because like ever since I moved out of Iran, I realized that yeah, this is a big deal. Where you live and your backgrounds can play a tremendous role in your perception.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If there are more comments, we can of course talk about them. Okay, I think we can proceed. So right now we're going to see how diverse perspective drive innovation, because we are, I think, and I hope that we are almost settled on the idea that diverse perspective can bring um, can bring creativity with them, and creativity is a crucial part of innovation. So studies have shown that the culturally diverse research teams are 35% more likely to outperform homogeneous teams in innovation and financial metrics due to a right perspective. This is really mind-blowing, but when you gain insight and when you gain knowledge in cultural neuroscience, you may be less surprised because you already know a bit of how culture can change our brain's function. And here we can maybe say that this is because cultural diversity activate more regions of the brain associated with creative problem solving, such as the prefrontal cortex, which you can see in the picture, and the anterior cingulate cortex due to exposure to novel perspectives. So it is some sort of challenge for our brain as well. It's like an exercise that can train our muscles, but not here, but here in the brain. So another part is the cognitive conflict that the teams might face. This is a challenge because we know that, okay, we know the good side of cultural diversity, but of course there are some downsides of cultural diversity, how we should face them, because there can be numerous misunderstandings in communication styles. And we also have the challenge of implicit bias that is somehow, I wouldn't say unconscious, but somehow it can be subconscious because in many cases we are not really aware of them. And we will remain unaware if we don't study about them. We will point out to this later. So the more diverse a team is, the more conflict they can come up to. But this conflict is not a negative form of conflict. It is a constructive conflict, which means that if it's managed effectively, it can enhance decision-making process. And as I said, like, you don't have to be like an expert or a person who is like very interested into this field, but like if you are international student and you live in a shared house, you can say that like if there are like people from other backgrounds aside from your own country, you can tell that there are some differences, some things that you consider polite, and other people from like different countries, they simply wouldn't mind. They don't care at all because like it's not an integral part of their culture, and they don't consider this as like being polite, impolite, or anything. So this can get to more serious places when it comes to working in a team because it's not a temporary flat that you say, okay, I will leave it in like 1 year or some months. You are working in this team and you're working on a project. So it is really important to be aware of what kind of conflicts cultural diversity can expose you to. Something that is really important in this regard is a concept called cultural intelligence. The word intelligence is really controversial in psychology, and there are many types of intelligence, but this is our main focus here today. Because it's a broad topic. We don't have enough time to cover this as well, but I just want to shortly point out to some components of cultural intelligence. And for example, it has one motivational component. It means that your intention, are you like motivated to learn about a new culture? You have this colleague from X country and you don't know anything about it. Are you willing to know more about it? Another component is the cognitive component, the fact that you are acquiring knowledge about this X country and culture. And the other part is the metacognition, meaning that, okay, you acquired this knowledge, you have the motivation to learn it, you have the information, and you must now monitor your own thoughts, your own knowledge about it. You have to somehow adjust your mindset to this recent acquired piece of knowledge. And then there is a behavioral component. The fact that, okay, you know that, you have this mindset now. Are you willing to behave according to it? So you know that, for example, when the person is talking, in this specific culture is not appropriate to look in their eyes like this. Of course, it's a weird thing to do in every culture, but like it's better to, like move around your eyes a bit, because in this particular culture, which is like an imaginary culture, this might be very impolite to do. So you know this and you try to adjust it. Um, this concept, cultural intelligence, as I said, has four main components, and it is quite crucial for each person who is working in a multicultural team to know these components. And this connects us to the next part, which is leadership and culture competence. A person who is a leader of an intercultural team should have high, moderate high at least, cultural intelligence, because they are the ones who can lead a conflict into a constructive, into a positive one, and they can make this decision making progress more easier, or they can neglect and it can turn out to a serious real problem. So it is quite important for the leaders to know about cultural differences, to have cultural empathy, to know about inclusive decision making, and it's better to have people as leaders who have high emotional intelligence and who they are better than in regulating prejudice associated activities, neural activities, because we know that like this function, regulating prejudice associated neural activity, is somehow a responsibility of amygdala. So it is not something that we can like assess like immediately, but at least we can tell that does this person has high emotional intelligence? Do they know about the cultural intelligence concept? So we should also pay a special attention in who we choose as the leader of a team, research team in our context. And one remedy for this is that we should have training sessions for team leaders when it comes to working in an intercultural community. This brings us to the second section of the presentation, which is a shorter part, I promise. And first of all, we will discuss about some challenges that immigrant neuroscientists face. The first would be implicit bias. Here we can see that when we say bias, it's, as I mentioned before, it's something that is subconsciously in our mind. We're functioning based on that bias. And we wouldn't know, we cannot modify our behavior unless we know about this bias. And there are many forms of different biases. Probably the most, for me at least, the most strange one is the name bias. And I heard it from a friend of mine, that when she was being interviewed in a company. Her name, she is from a country in Eastern culture, if you say so. And she said that like just because of her name, she got rejected because her name was quite different from other applicants. And her name had some components of a language that I would prefer not to name. And that's it's implicitly caused a bias. And she didn't know, she was not 100% sure, but she was surprised by how easily she got rejected. Because, like, okay, the first thing that an employer sees is like your name, your CV, and etc. And she was kind of sure that her name has to do something with it. And we know that it is actually a bias. And I'm not gonna give a long talk about this because there are like many amazing information about it, and I put this resource that you can later go and check, because I took some materials from their website and I thought that it's really interesting that they're doing this. It's some sort of um, training our implicit biases. And I know that it would be interesting for you as well to read some materials on their website. And something interesting about implicit bias is that in our brain, we have this area called fusiform gyrus, which is critical for face perception. And it's interesting that this part of the brain um, responds differently based on racial or cultural familiarity. And it means that like when a person is familiar to you, you tend to respond differently when from when a person is like a total stranger or has facial features that are like strange to you, that you have never seen this form of facial features in person before. And again, this can lead to cultural misunderstanding, implicit stereotypes, and this can shape your behavior towards that person who is um, a bit strange for you. And yeah, this can cause a challenge. And a possible solution is like visiting this website. I'm not promoting them, it's just that I found their material so interesting. Um, and learn about bias and join into bias training programs. There are like many YouTube videos, many good resources that you can use, many great books that you can read. And also another possible solution is to encourage diverse mentorship models, which is again another field to explore. And now I want to talk about two sad obstacles that I faced myself as a student, as a master's student. And unfortunately, this part, I cannot recommend any solution because it's like out of my control. The only thing I can do is to spread the word and to like discuss about this personal concern of mine with different people. And you know, it's like a chain. When you express your concern, finally, if you're lucky, can go somewhere. Like you know, forming petitions and etc. But something that I faced myself is like the bureaucratic obstacles, and I'm dealing with them right now. I'm waiting for my residence permit for a long time. And soon I have to move to Sweden because currently I live in Italy. And I don't know, like, I'm still waiting for it. And it is really, going to that point that it just makes me worry. But it's so sad that many students, not only in European countries, I should have edited this, but many people are who are competent in form of in terms of like academic background and the work background, but they're still waiting for either their visa or study permits or work permits. And in some countries, it can be a very, very long process. And it's crazy because you simply don't know where your file is and you cannot do anything about it because it's like out of your control. And the only thing you can do is to complain, but it's not really pleasant. So one obstacle that I think each immigrant, regardless of the background, might face is the bureaucratic stuff. And the other barrier would be language barriers. Of course, we are expected to be fluent in English. And I know that all of the international students are trying to do so. But it comes to some cases that English is not the problem anymore because there are many international students who are admitted to a certain program and they're expected to do their internship. But there are basically no internships or or a few internships in English that they can carry out. And this is a problem. This is again another problem that I faced myself. And it just limits your options as a student. You want to gain lots of diverse experiences in different fields. You want to go and meet with patients, talk to them, but it's not possible because they don't speak English. And this is a real problem, not a challenge, because it has to be solved. And well, these were like 2 points that I wanted to like just open up about. But as I said, unfortunately, I don't have like any solution or recommendation about it. This is some concern that I think we need to spread the word. The last part of our presentation, I hope to make it more interactive because we have like 10 minutes late. And again, we have some points to consider here, but before that, I want to hear your voice, and then we can like briefly recap the points. If there are like any opinions regarding how we can, despite all the things that we discussed in this session, what do you think and how do you think we can contribute to building inclusive and innovative research communities? You can simply like give a summary of what we discussed, adding up your own experience, and yeah. Yes, please.
So, I think what contribution an individual can make to make a research community more inclusive would be just sharing general information about biases and just the fact that they exist, and I'm guessing just raising awareness in their academic community so that other people will be aware that in order to get more successful research results, they have to communicate and take into account what different cultures people are from, and stuff like that.
Yeah. Actually, I think it's a really important point that we need to sometimes open up. And even when there are some misunderstanding, I think it is quite important for us to specify it. If you don't talk about it, people have no idea. People are not mind readers, and they're not everyone is a culture expert. So they have no idea that, okay, what does this mean in my culture, and how would I consider this solution to be a correct form of approaching this problem? Sorry. So I would say it's really important to open up. Sorry for that.
Any other reflections, or you can also type in the chat as well. Okay, if not, then Kimia, maybe we can wrap up closing thoughts.
Yeah, sure. Just one moment. I need to take a break because my cough is
Oh,
not
sure
stopping.
thing. No
Sorry
worries, no
for
worries.
that.
No worries. It is cold season too, everywhere. So. Oh, in the meantime then, folks, I know some of y'all have already been filling this form out. If you would like to be considered for a certificate of participation, let me drop that in the chat. I can't type participation. There we go. You can fill out that Google form after any session has ended. Thanks to many of you for doing that already. It's also quite helpful for the speakers to kind of hear about what were the biggest helpful takeaway points for attendees.
Okay, I think I'm ready to go.
Okay.
If I cough again in the middle, excuse me.
No worries.
So, if we want to wrap up this whole presentation in some few points, is that as it was discussed, it is so important for us to be aware of the cultural differences. And the concept cultural competency, it means that we need to familiarize ourselves towards different cultures in order to improve our communication and collaboration among diverse team members. Another point is that that has something to do with this problem that I mentioned regarding finding academic positions and internship in English, especially in countries that are not, that they don't have English as their first language, is to have language support. For example, our course has recently provided some Italian classes that I personally find so useful because many students can take advantage, and not only it helps them to find some opportunities, internship opportunities, but they will learn a language, and that is a gift, I would say. And another thing is the diverse leadership that we said that sometimes we, in some groups, not sometimes, I would say often, we need to keep the leadership position in rotation, giving chance and opportunity for people from immigrant backgrounds to also be in the position of leaders. So it is quite important to have this leadership position in rotation, because otherwise this can like somehow stabilize the power in hands of a specific culture or specific nationality. And that is I would say, lost to research community, and we don't want that. Another thing is that, especially when students are at the point that they're so close to graduation, they should be provided with some workshops and resources to know that, okay, what would be my career path from now on? And how can I immerse myself in the host country? How can I find some ways in academia or in the market outside, in the job market outside? And another thing that I'm really hoping for is to simplify bureaucracy, because like in the visa and permits is like the main thing that I know many of my friends are stressing for. And this is something that I hope we can do something about it. And in future, uh, it wouldn't be a problem or an obstacle for anyone from immigrant background. Thank you for listening, and thank you for being here at this time. I know it's Sunday, it's weekend, and you probably had other plans to do, other places to go, but it really meant a lot to me to be here. And I really appreciate this opportunity to have this floor to talk about this important topic. And I thank the organizers of NeuroNovember Convention. I'm personally looking forward for the other sessions. It's like 5 p.m. in Italy right now. I know it's the beginning of morning for many of you, but now I'm like super excited to um, participate in other sessions. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
listening.
Thanks, Kimia. And thank you for taking a chunk of time out of your weekend as well, especially when you're feeling a little bit under the weather, to still try and make this happen. So I appreciate you all. Sorry, give me a moment. There's like a bunch of AI